Hey there everyone, this is Darren Parra, and this is my video assignment number 2 for Kinesiology 4953, Strength and Conditioning. This exercise we're going to be performing is a standing quad stretch. We're going to do this exercise for 2 minutes on each leg. The goal of the standing quad stretch is to grab your foot and pull behind towards your back, really stretching out that quad, stretching out that hip flexor. Sometimes it can be hard to lose your balance, so as you can see I have a chair for stability while still maintaining getting a nice good stretch in the quad. Moving on, the next exercise we have is the piriformis stretch. We're going to be doing this 2 minutes on each leg. To do the piriformis stretch, we're going to need to be in supine position. We're going to place one foot over our contralateral knee and press down on that knee. Pressing down on that knee really stretches out our piriformis. Really press down on it. We're going to be doing that for 2 minutes. Alternating every 2 minutes. The last exercise we're going to perform in our general warm-up is going to be the standing calf stretch. We're going to do it for 2 minutes on each leg for 4 minutes total. To perform the standing calf stretch, we're going to need to square up on a wall and place our hands on the wall first. Placing one foot behind us, we're going to send our hips forward into the wall. Keeping your feet planted on the ground, you should feel a stretch in the back calf. We want to maintain Proper posture, keep our back straight, don't extend this. There's no back extension involved with this stretch. Send your hips into the wall and you should feel a really good stretch. Next, we're going to get into our specific warm-ups. Our first one is going to be the lateral shuffle for 2 minutes back and forth. Now, to perform our lateral shuffle properly, we're going to be going back and forth and not letting your feet slap together. We want to get them very close to each other when we shuffle, but we're not letting them clap together. As you can see, I'm just going 2 cones set up in 20 yards, just going back and forth. Constant speed, power stance. Perform this exercise for 2 minutes. Next up, we have a similar shuffle called the grapevine. We're going to be also doing this one for 2 minutes, just going back and forth 20 yards. As you can see, the difference between a shuffle and the grapevine is our lead foot actually crosses in front and behind us. Same rules apply with the shuffle. Keep a nice, good power stance. Stay upright. Make sure that lead foot is going in front and behind your back foot. Our final specific warm-up is going to be high knees. We're going to go lateral, and we're also going to do ecstatic. Right now, we're just basically going to go back and forth for 20 yards, getting our knees really high, staying constant, remembering to breathe. I can get my knees higher than that. Here in a few seconds, you should see me doing the high knee static as well. That is in place. We're going to do this exercise for a total of 2 minutes. Now it's time to get into the main program, and the first exercise modality is going to be free weights. Our first exercise is going to be the Olympic snatch, and we're going to be performing the single arm dumbbell snatch, 2 sets of 5 repetitions. The snatch is an exercise that the weight is thrown above our head while also squatting down to grab the weight first. As you can see, I'm using my right arm first, grabbing the weight, squatting down, and exploding at the top, throwing it over my head. As always with all Olympic lifts, maintain current posture, keep your back straight, keep your shoulders retracted, and pull very hard to get the weight over your head. The next exercise is going to be the hang snatch. We're going to do 3 sets with 5 repetitions. As you can see, we've introduced a barbell. To perform the hang snatch, we're going to start off in a hang position, which is the barbell is a little bit below the knees, and we're going to snatch up, snatch the bar, pop, and press it over our head. Getting nice and low. I don't have weights on the barbell, unfortunately, but I'm still getting into snatch position, snapping, and popping over my head. Perform this exercise 2 sets of 5 repetitions. The next exercise is going to be the Olympic snatch pull. Perform this exercise 2 sets, 5 repetitions. Very similar to the hang snatch, I'm starting in the hang position, and I am actually pulling the weight into a front squat, ending in a front squat. A little bit of bend in the knees when I stop. Here's our second set of 5. Pull the weight, and in a front squat position. Our second exercise is going to be the Olympic power clean. We're going to do 2 sets of 5 repetitions. For the power clean, there are phases of the power clean. There's the first pull as I'm getting down into position, keeping my back straight. I transition into the scoop phase, right there. And then we end up with the catch phase. Catch it right into the sternum. Our next exercise is going to be the Olympic squat clean. We're going to do 1 set of 5 repetitions. Very similar to a power clean. We keep our back straight, shoulders retracted. We are catching into squat position though. That is where we end it. So we'll have the first pull, transition, second pull, and catch in squat position. Just doing 1 set of 5. Our next exercise is going to be the hang power clean. We're going to do this for 2 sets, 5 repetitions. Another variation of the power clean, this time starting in the hang position, which the barbell will be placed right above the knees. Still pulling, catching, and pressing up. Perform 3 sets, 5 repetitions. Moving on to exercise modality 2, we have agility. Our first exercise for agility is known as the Z drill. We're going to perform this for 2 sets of 5 rounds. The Z drill involves 4 cones running in a Z pattern and sprinting in the diagonal path. We're going to do this for 5 rounds. As you can see, I'm setting up for my second round. The takeoff involves a lateral shuffle, touching the cone, sprinting to the third cone, touching it, and shuffling to the side. Here I am moving to my second set, touching the cone, and that is 1 round. We're going to be doing 5 rounds. The next variation of Z drill we're going to be performing is a lateral shuffle, 2 sets of 5 rounds. The difference on this one is we're shuffling the entire time, still touching the cones, a little bit slower, getting in a power position, making sure our feet do not clap as we're shuffling. There's our first round. We're going to set up for the second one. Touching the cone. Making this difficult would involve speeding up your shuffle. The final variation of Z drill is going to be a back pedal, 2 sets of 5 rounds. When we're backpedaling, as soon as we hit the second cone, we're actually going to sprint to the third one and then backpedal to the fourth. Completing 5 rounds again, 2 sets. Here we are setting up for our second set, round, backpedaling, sprinting, and backpedaling. Be very careful and stay over yourself as you're backpedaling. You don't want to lean too far back. That could result in you taking a tumble. Our next exercise in the agility modality is going to be a deceleration drill. This first one we're going to be sprinting and decelerating. Sprinting from one cone to the other, trying to decelerate and stop in 3 steps. As you can see, a very good way to decelerate and stop in 3 steps is to actually drop your hips very low. Sprint through the cone. Next up, we're going to be decelerating, but we're going to be backpedaling. We're going to do 5 rounds from cone to cone again. The key to backpedaling is leaning forward a bit, staying over yourself, and still dropping your hips a little bit to kind of stop with that lead foot. We're going to do 5 rounds. The last variation of a deceleration is going to be a lateral shuffle. We're going to do this one 5 rounds and trying to stop from shuffling. Keeping a nice low power stance, we're still going to stop by placing our lead foot closest to the cone. Make this exercise more difficult, obviously increase your speed of shuffle. Modality 3 is going to involve lower body plyometrics. Our first exercise is going to focus on the jump. The squat jump, to be exact, 3 sets of 10 jumps. Performing the squat jump will really get down in a power stance, use your arms to gain momentum, and explode at the top, really extending. We're going to do this 3 times, 10 jumps every single time, jumping as high as you can, getting really low, using those arms for momentum to propel you upward. And here's our last set of 10. Swing those arms and explode. The next variation of jump is going to be the lateral jump with extension. Do this exercise 3 rounds of 10 jumps. To perform a lateral jump, same rules apply as a squat jump. Get really down nice and low and use those arms. Swing them to use momentum. We're jumping side to side and extending our arms as high as we can at the top, like we're blocking a soccer ball from entering the net. Our final variation of jump is going to be the tuck jump, 3 rounds of 10 jumps. To perform the tuck jump, it is very similar to the squat jump. You're going to get down nice and low using your arms as momentum, but we're actually going to be tucking our feet at the top of the jump to try and create a low profile. Bring your knees as high as you can, as well as your feet, jumping 10 times. Here's our third set. Really explode. Use all your energy. Exercise 2 is going to be the box jump. Perform this 3 rounds of 10 jumps. Jumping onto a small or high box, there is no delay in between jumps. We are going rapid fire, using both legs, keeping them level, landing with both feet, pushing off with both feet as well. 10 jumps for 3 rounds. Variation 2 is going to be the single leg jump, 2 rounds of 10 jumps per foot. As you can see, instead of 2 feet, we're just using single leg, 1 foot at a time, 10 times, then switching feet. Be very careful with this. You could accidentally trip. This involves a lot of coordination, cognitive, keeping a nice constant speed. The last variation of jump is going to be the power step up, 2 rounds of 12 reps per leg. We're going to be alternating legs after 12 reps. To perform the power step up, 1 foot is already on the box and you're stepping up and surging the knee forward like a high knee. No delay with this exercise. It is rapid fire. Keep a nice constant speed. Lean a little forward, stay over the step so you don't fall backwards. "12 repetitions. Moving on to exercise modality 4, we have speed. Our first exercise we're going to be performing is the A-skip forwards, 20 yards for 30 seconds. The A-skip involves bringing your left knee and your right arm up at the same time, similar to a sprint movement. It involves a lot of coordination. You want to make sure that you're skipping with the foot as well. It's not just alternating opposite arm and opposite knee. You're actually skipping while doing this exercise. I'm just going back and forth 20 yards, keeping a nice constant speed, remembering to use opposite knee and opposite elbow. Skipping on the way there. Next variation is going to be the A-skip just performed backwards. Same rules, 20 yards, 30 seconds. We are still performing the A-skip, just going into backwards. Still remembering to skip. Remember, we're doing opposite knee, opposite elbow. Coordination really comes into play with this exercise. Keep a nice constant speed. And finally, we'll be performing the A-skip laterally, 20 yards for 30 seconds. Get that knee nice and high, get that elbow nice and high. Exercise 2 is going to be the incline sprint. We're going to do this for 5 rounds. Find an incline, the bottom of a hill, a small hill, and sprint to the top of it. Just going to do this 5 times using everything you got. Our second sprint variation is going to be a push-up sprint, 3 rounds as well. The only difference is we're starting in a push-up position and then taking off, exploding, and running through the cone. I've set up a cone about 20 yards. Important thing is just starting in push-up position. Here's another one. And the third one. The final variation of sprint is going to be the crouch sprint, your traditional crouch stance of 3 rounds. Getting in a crouch stance, it doesn't really matter the way that the crouch stance looks, as long as you're crouched down, your opposite foot is forward so you can explode off of it. The fifth exercise modality is going to focus on upper body plyometrics. Our first exercise is going to be the push-up position, agility ladder, plyometrics, 2 rounds, 2 laps. 1 lap is going all the way down and back. I'm in push-up position. My arms are constantly moving as well as my feet. Trying to maintain push-up stance, push-up position. Here is the second round, all the way down, all the way back. The next exercise is the shock push-up. Perform this for 3 rounds of 5 reps. The shock push-up has 2 platforms on either side, and you are pushing up, exploding and catching the platforms, and then lowering down to a push-up. Exploding again, catching the platforms, and vice versa. Just perform 5 of these for 3 rounds.
3, 4, 5. Two more. One more.
The third variation of push-up is going to be the clap push-up, 3 rounds of 5 reps. The clap push-up looks like a normal push-up, but you are pushing up and exploding, so you're able to clap in between in air and lowering back down to push-up position. Just do 5 of these 3 times.
One more.
Exercise 2 is going to be a wall slam with a medicine ball. The first one is going to be overhead elbow extension wall slams, 3 rounds, 10 slams. As you can see, my arms are over my head, elbows are extending as I slam the ball into the wall. I never lower my hands from above my head. Try and keep a nice constant speed, no delays in between, slamming the medicine ball against the wall. Now we move into the seated position wall slam circuit, 10 reps on each side. We're going to be sitting on a mat, slamming the ball, rotating our torso, and slamming the ball into the wall. Perform this 10 sides, 10 reps on one side, 10 reps on the other. The last exercise is going to be the kneeling wall slam, 8 slams on each side, as we're going to be in a kneeling stance, rotating and slamming the ball against the wall for 8 repetitions. There's the left side. Keeping a nice constant speed, staying upright, rotating our torso. The final exercise modality is going to be quickness and reaction time using a tennis ball. Our first exercise is going to be a tennis ball reaction time, dropping the tennis ball 2 rounds, 5 catches per round. As you can see, my first stance is a little bit of a power fighting stance where I have my hands placed on top of my quads as I try and catch the balls as they're dropped 5 times. Next exercise is going to be the tennis ball drop with our hands behind our back, 1 round of 5 catches. The variation of this exercise just involves my hands behind my back, still doing the same objective, catching the tennis balls as they're dropped. Testing our response and time and quickness. The third variation is going to be a tennis ball drop in a fighting stance. 2 rounds of 5 catches. The fighting stance involves a little bit of a power stance, like we were about to block a punch, our fists in front of our face, and we are rotating our arms vertically to catch the tennis ball. Our second exercise to test reaction time is the tennis ball reaction timer. We're going to be alternating hands for 30 seconds. The goal of this exercise is to throw from one hand and catch with the other, using our eye-hand coordination. Making this exercise harder would involve throwing it faster or speeding up the process. Our second variation is going to be the 2-hand tennis ball bounce at the wall, 3 rounds of 5 bounces. This is a very tricky exercise and will really test our peripheral vision as well as our hand-eye coordination. Throwing both tennis balls at the wall, catching them with the same hands you threw them in. Excellent exercise to test our peripheral vision. Here's our second round. Our final exercise is going to be the 2-hand tennis ball bounce on the ground, 3 rounds at 30 seconds. We're essentially dribbling the tennis balls, one in each hand, maintaining hand-eye coordination as well as peripheral vision. It's a very tricky exercise, but focus will get it done. Three rounds, 30 seconds per round. Finally, we come to the cool down segment. Our first exercise we're going to be performing is the forward bend, and we're going to be doing it for 3 minutes, or 3 rounds, 1 minute each round. For the forward bend, we want to make sure that our knees stay straight and we're taking our hands and touching our toes. We get a lot of benefits with this stretch: back flexion, hamstring stretch, making sure to breathe as well. 3 rounds, 1 minute a round. Our second stretch is going to be the overhead stretch. Perform this for 3 rounds, 1 minute each. To perform the overhead stretch, we'll take a nice, good shoulder width stance, and we're extending our arms as high as we can above our head, really stretching, putting our spine into correct anatomical position, feeling a nice, good stretch at the top. To make this exercise easier, you could actually grab onto a wall if you needed to and use that to extend your arms as far above your head as you can and feel a nice stretch. The third exercise we're going to be performing is the spinal twist, 3 minutes alternating every minute. To perform the spinal twist, we're going to take one leg, place it over the contralateral leg, and push our knee towards that leg. Stretching out the outer hip flexors. 1 minute, alternating. That's going to conclude our training for the day. Thank you for watching.